Marcus, my boy. You were an extraction specialist with the Delta Force. I've got a job for you. Nothing you can't handle.
You know, Mom would be rolling in her grave if she knew you were still doing that type of work.
Marcus Lombardi. He's the #1 suspect. There's some kind of intel we can get out of him.
You just murdered the head of the Russian mob stunt. When Arcady finds out, you'll be as good as dead.
Where's my sister?
She's alive for the moment. Get me the case, and I'll make sure she's safe.
Can you put a massive bounty on your head?
How much?
$1 million dead. $2 million alive. I'll go get it done.
The list like this after you? I'd start writing my eulogy now.
I got myself in a bit of a situation. You still have this place rigged up?
I mean, the minute you walked in, kid. Showtime.
That's your plan, to blow everybody up?
He's all right. He's dead.
Only thing I care about is to get my sister back.
What happened to your nose?
You don't want to know.
It was definitely a labor of love, and we only had 15 days to shoot the film.
Wow.
Yeah, it was tough, Joe. You know, I feel like both the director Josh Tessier and I, we both come from stunt background.
Right.
So to do an action film, and he's done a lot of second unit directing. This was many years in the making, and to only have 15 days. But if you have the right preparation and you have the right crew behind you, which everyone was amazing. Everyone had a really good time, which again, you don't hear too much on indies. So we really appreciated everyone's perseverance and hard work, and we're really proud of the film.
For you being a working stuntman in the business, and you've done some acting on top of that, and then now you're into the foray of producing and being a part of that. Was that more to take control of your own career? Did you feel like that was the aspect of what you was missing in this industry a little bit?
Yeah, absolutely. It's for Josh and I, it was our next natural progression in Hollywood. Essentially, you know how it is. The more things you know, the more useful you are. The more opportunities you'll get, the more money you can make.
Yeah.
The more doors open for you. So for us, this was the next natural progression, is for him to direct, for me to act, and for us to create Turbo Panda Productions, our production company. We created the company about 8 years ago, and it just felt right, Joe. You know, I love stunts, and so does he, and he loves second unit directing, but we just both fell into our natural place, I feel like, and we both really enjoy it, and we're both team players, so we love the team that we have behind us, and there's always a team effort to get to the next stage, whether it's a pilot, music video, a feature film, and for us, like I said, that was the next natural progression. Now, I gotta be honest with you, being the first time that I've led a film and then being one of the producers, it was definitely tough going back and forth, switching from lead actor. And I definitely have my doubts at some moments, but at the end of it, we all persevered, and we're really proud of our product. And at the end of the day, Joe, we just want people to watch the film and go, yeah, that was fun. I enjoyed it. And that's the reaction we got from you. So
nice. This thing started, this thing was a spec script that you guys picked up, and then you had it reworked to kind of, I would assume, to kind of suit your talents and stunts and things of that nature. I could be wrong in that aspect. You polished it up regardless, either way. Yes. And I'm talking. Talk about a little bit about the evolution of that and why this story resonated with you so vividly.
Sure. Yeah. So Josh and I, as our first project, we did a short back in 2013 called Raw Brute.
Why didn't you do it, Marcus? It was an easy job. Besides me, you're the best at what you do.
You took my sister.
bounty on her head, and they're not gonna lift it until you do the job they ask you to do. You're gonna have to deal with the city's toughest thugs, assassins, mobsters, and cops to get her and keep her safe. So what are you gonna do?
You know what I had to go through for you, man? I've been burnt. My cat got set on fire. I've been to bus and flipped over 17 times. I almost got drowned inside of a toilet, and I think some Russians probed me.
And Raw Brute is the inception of what you see of the script today. This was a short that we did. It was our first thing. It wasn't his first time directing, but it was my first time leading a short. This was 8 years ago. So again, the doubts started coming in. But when I saw what I'm capable of and what he's capable of and what we bring together as a team in for people to enjoy, again, it just fell in place and it just felt good. And from that script, we developed this script. I don't personally like the typing aspect of writing. I like creating and the development part of it.
Sure.
Character development, story development. And then our writers, which were Josh and our other producer, Roberto. And then we also had another lady by the name of Victoria Gonzalez, who wrote on it as well, and Craig Key, who was part of the original story by, and our first draft was him and Josh. So that kind of developed into what you see today. But it was, obviously financing is always the issue with most filmmaking. So we have plenty of time to get the script through rewrites, and everyone kind of puts their own little notes on it. And we finally came up with what we did.
I have to imagine. I mean, obviously, the choreography in this film is very well done because it's what you do. It's in your wheelhouse.
Yes.
I mean, the stunts and the fights are just absolutely gorgeous, and they're really well put together. But on top of that, this film has a movement. It has this interesting way of how it gets you to one space to another. There's very little static, except for when the fight scenes are happening, because you guys probably know very well how to choreograph that. So I'm kind of curious from your perspective as a producer, allowing the effort of all of these, trials and tribulations. I'm sure you went through a lot to try and, there's some great like camera shots where you're moving downward and across and things like that. And some scenes where you're not in. So I imagine those are probably a little easier for you to be a part of in terms of the producing aspect. But
that's what I'm producing when I'm out. Yep.
But I'm curious for you as an actor too, what that meant for you, and did that help, kind of ease your way into telling a story like this?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Josh, it's really Josh's genius of the type of director that he is, and he is very much so about transition shots and really being able to melt together two scenes effortlessly, and that's kind of where his genius came in. And for me as an actor, being surrounded by people like Bruce Stern, by Nicholas Turturro, by William Catt, these guys really helped me elevate my game as well. Because again, this is my first time leading a film, and again, I have my doubts, just like anybody else would, that if I could do it or not, and producing on the side as well. So there's this constant back and forth. But to have a director like that, that's a team player, that'll listen to suggestions, that'll really, because at the end of the day, it's about making the best product that you can. And it is a team effort. It 100% is a team effort. And I've been on sets where people are very like, no, it's my way. This is how it's going to be. And it generally doesn't work out that great, because there's always going to be things that you're going to not catch that other people will to better the film. And sometimes not to better it, unfortunately, but it happens. But for the most part, it is to improve your product. And to have a guy like that, to have Josh be at the helm, I feel like that really helped. And everyone respects him on set because he commands the set and he knows exactly what he wants. And, and again, that makes it so much easier as a producer and as an actor and everyone else throughout the crew.
Were you allowed to be part of the editing process?
Oh, yes, absolutely. It was, we have our partner, we own a post house as well, Rocket Panda Post. So Turbo Panda Productions is the production company. Rocket Panda Post is our post company that we own with our other partner, Brady Holligren. And so he was the editor on the film as well and the post supervisor. So to have it in the office, it's really neat because, you know, Josh and Brady obviously did most of it, but for us to review the film, look at it, again, catching little things, trying to better every scene, and whether it's, you know, color, the edits, the acting moments, it definitely is a team process. And I really appreciate having those guys in the room with me, because there's, you know, it's never about what they want, it's about what we all want. So that really helps it, just the overall process.
I asked that question because you've been mentioning, you know, you were unsure of moments in time in the acting aspect of this film and taking the lead, and I have to imagine that there was things you probably wanted to cut out because you thought it wasn't up to par, but Josh was like, you know, hey, look, you got to let me do this kind of idea.
You are not wrong, Joe. I mean, look, listen, everyone, you know, for the most part, every actor is their own worst critic. Then
right.
I definitely have moments where I cringed a little bit, but you know, Joe, I look at it as a learning experience because at the end of the day, it's about improving myself as an actor, and to see those moments, those are learning moments. So it was actually important for me to make small mistakes like that. And again, Josh caught a lot of it, you know, and we talked about it, and it was through the process of talking about the scene and the character that made those moments better. And again, yes, absolutely. There were things in the edit where I was like, oh, you know, let's look at some other takes, you know, but then I would have Josh and Brady disagree with me. It's like, no, dude, it's good. Just trust it. So it really comes down to trust, because they're going to want to make me look my best no matter what, because at the end of the day, it's going to make the product that much better. So yes and no. To answer your question. So there were definitely those moments, but I trust those guys.
You mentioned the incredible veteran cast that you have, you know, John Messner, William Catt, and of course Bruce Dern, and it goes Nicholas Turturro, and it goes on and on and on. I mean, Chris Talman. I mean, these are all guys people would know just by looking at them, and you know, if they don't already know who they are and follow them vehemently, how much for you as a young actor, as a person taking the lead, was that important in pursuing a cast like this, to have that veteran presence, and how much did that give you confidence?
It absolutely elevated me. Every scene I had with those guys, having the confidence is one thing, but then really getting into the scene and seeing what those guys are doing, I'm like, oh my God, I got to keep up. and Bruce, for instance, Bruce loved to improv, and you know, but everything was so well thought out that it was all in the moment, but it helped me elevate my game because I was able to keep up, and because he's so good, he just brought me up. And same with Nick, same with Bill, same with Johnny. You know, all these veterans, and our central villain, Robert Miano, who's the veteran himself. And
sorry, I forgot to read.
No, that's okay. All these guys.
Sorry, Robert.
Definitely a young buck when it comes to the art, and to have those veterans surrounding me was just a blessing. And just everyone was amazing. Everyone was, really.
Yeah, I mean, your scene with Bruce Dern is just off the charts. That was really fantastic. Yeah, you almost see what you're talking about throughout the film. I know you didn't shoot it that way, but you kind of see you gain this kind of confidence in your acting, even as it goes along.
And that guy, you know, what an amazing guy. The whole crew enjoyed him so much. You know, just 50 plus years of stories about old Hollywood, the John Wayne days, the it just 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, just everything. That guy is just so awesome. I would highly recommend, if anybody ever has a chance to work with Bruce Dern, to try to work with him, because he's just amazing. Super pro, comes in, does his thing, tells amazing stories, and you know, the guy is just full of energy, and it's so nice to have, because again, it just feeds the characters, it feeds the crew. It's just the overall environment becomes that much better because of guys like that.
How important was it for you to have the humor element in this as well? Did that give you some kind of comfort as well? Did that help your confidence to be able to kind of joke around and give it that kind of satirical, banter that you have, especially, in the moments when you're doing the heist and things of that nature?
Yeah. Yeah, that was 100% by design. You know, we are silly guys in life, so, and we don't like to take ourselves too serious. So we knew that we didn't want to just make another, oh, look at us, we're an action film. Like,
Yeah.
to have that humor, the dark humor and the banter, like the character Augie, who's like my techie, that chemistry, it really shows Marcus's human side. And so he is an anti-hero, let's be honest. He's not a hero per se, but that really shows that, he's a relatable guy. He likes to be happy. He wants to get his sister. He wants to start a new life with his sister. And Nick's character Doc, who's kind of like a father figure. These throughout the whole film, we want to make sure that we show the fun side of these characters, especially Marcus and his human side, because he's so like. Ah! So that definitely was by design.
That's awesome. Yeah, and for Augie's, the Augie scenes when he's doing play-by-play, almost like a sports commentator. The funny thing about that moment and those scenes is I found there was some real authenticity being dealt in those. There's a scene, and this is not a spoiler for anybody, but there's a scene when you get a key card and you have to put it in the thing, and he goes, "No, your other right." Like for people who've been in the military who understand that's like a little inside joke kind of idea.
Nice. I don't know how many people are going to catch that, but that's very good. So fun fact, Josh and I met Jack. He was one of the stars of Nickelodeon's show, The Thundermans. This was several years back. And Chris Tallman, who plays Detective Walsh, who's kind of like a frumpy cop, he played his dad on that show. So that's where Josh and I met him, and I worked on the show, and Josh worked on it as well for several seasons. And so that's where we met them. And actually, fun fact, Bill himself plays, in one episode, plays the grandpa to Jack. We literally had 3 generations of Thundermans in the film. So, but that's why, because of Jack's and I's history, it felt a lot more natural, and the chemistry was already there. We didn't have to worry about it. Same with Chris and everyone else. So it all just fell into place, which is really nice. And everyone really likes my relationship with Augie. It's just two guys being goofy, being silly. Not, they're talking about murder and trying to steal something, and yet it's somehow funny because of their interaction. So that was yes, absolutely. That was really fun to do.
List like this after you and start writing my eulogy now.
Also, you have to imagine that there was a certain comfort level with the way you casted the stunt performers and doing the stunts too. Talk a little bit about that, and that's your wheelhouse. So, I mean, what were you guys looking for, and what did they bring to it that you didn't have before?
Yeah, absolutely. So the guy who plays Boca, who is with the guy with the tattoo on his head.
This crop circle on his head.
So he was actually our fight coordinator. But it's always a team effort. We conceptualize the fights, and then we all kind of go through it. We pre-visit just so everyone understands what the fight's about. Because at the end of the day, you're telling a story without dialogue. That's what a fight should be. And if you successfully do that, then people understand who's the bad guy, who's the good guy, what is this about, what exactly is happening. So it's definitely a team effort. But again, having guys with a stunt background where you don't need to train them a lot to come up with the fight, to do the fight, it really helps because, being on a 15-day schedule, we only had two or 3 days to rehearse the fights. And I myself was so busy of just doing everything else. They would come up with it. We went to Victory Martial Arts in Encino, and we did all our pre-visits there. And we would just kind of look at it as a team, and whatever would fit. Everybody had notes that could make it better. We would all kind of go over it. And having stunt actors also throughout the film, that's very helpful also because, again, we don't need to get stunt doubles. That's an extra cost, extra coverage, all that stuff. So it really helps having stunt people that can act and put them in their respective roles.
Shooting it wide, too, is very smart because then you can really – I imagine that gave you a lot of room and a lot of area to play with, too. But in stunt work, is there an amount of improv that happened because it was such a quick shoot that you guys – is it all about feel too once you start to shoot it and get into it? Is it more of that than really – I mean, everything else is kind of muscle memory, right? But but in terms of having all this a lot more wide space than you probably expected. Did that come into play at all with these fights and how you actually when you shot them?
Yeah, absolutely. Again, it really helps having pro stunt guys because you can keep it wide. When you have guys that have the movement, that can do the choreography realistically and have the body intensity, then you should go wide because the audience can see the whole action. It's not very shaky cam, close up, and you can see exactly what's going on. Again, that's the storytelling aspect of it, and it really helped. But we had our challenges like the hallway fight. That hallway was no kidding.
With a mattress in there too.
So like to get camera in there to try to light it, our DP, the gaffer, to try to light it, and you have to be creative, pushing light through different windows, and it was tough. And I'm 6'2", 235 pounds, so I'm not a small guy. So you add 2 more guys in the hallway, and the back and forth. Again, a fight like that. You look at like the knife piece where they're throwing the knife back and forth. Yeah. That's telling the story of we need to get the weapon because that's the most dangerous thing right now in this hallway. And the way Marcus is, being a veteran, having the background of I need to get in and get out, and I need to handle the situation. That was by design of almost like 2 hyenas going after a wolf.
Yeah.
There's 2 smaller guys going after the big guy, but they can't necessarily outpower him, so they have to try to outsmart him. So that's the story you're telling with that fight.
Enjoy this.
What do you think, now having been a lead, what do you think you're going to take away from this experience that you didn't expect that you will bring to the next one?
It was an amazing learning experience, just because, like we were talking about earlier, making those small mistakes, really understanding character development. I'm a big background story and really breaking down the script and figuring out every scene with every character, what our relationship is like. Because at the end of the day, that'll really help me feed the character and portray through the screen. One of the best compliments I got from multiple people is they've known me for years. They know I'm a silly, goofy guy. But for them to say, oh, when you were on screen, we just saw Marcus. We didn't see Omid. That obviously is one of the best compliments you can give an actor. So that right there was a huge learning experience of, oh, maybe I can be somebody else. This is great. So I should continue moving forward and doing what I do with my process because it's working. I'm fooling people that have known me for years. That know me inside and out, and they still are telling me, oh, we just saw Marcus. So that's a really good feeling. And to understand that your character is going to have similarities to you as a person is really important because you can bring a small aspect of yourself as a person to the character. Because at the end of the day, for me, I'm not a selfish person. I like to feed the character exactly everything that it needs, whether it's being fat, being ugly, or like being an a-hole, whatever it is. I will feed the character what it needs because at the end of the day, that's what it's all about.
With action films, it's often the trope to continue the storylines and continue forward. Do you see yourself playing Marcus again? Do you think that there's some stories to tell with Marcus though?
Absolutely. The world that we created, we want to make sure it's very open-ended, as you saw in the end credits. So we already have an idea for the storyline for the sequel. If it does well enough, and if somebody goes, hey, we think this was a success, we'd like to get another one, go do it. So it would be amazing because it's already a created world. It's already proven grounds, I guess, if you will. And there's so much we can do with these characters and the storylines that we can take on for a sequel, if at all. And I feel like it would be a very comfortable spot for us to have a sequel because it's already proven grounds. It's already developed. The world is there. The characters are there. And all we have to do is kind of guide the story the way we want it.
So what do you love about doing indie film? What is it about indie film that captures you? It's
the creative process, man. You have a lot more say, and I've done plenty of studio projects, and it's a little less pressure, but not really. It's more pressure, but in a sense of the creative aspect of it. And the camaraderie and the teamwork, and being able to go from point A to point Z is really important, and that's exactly what we did. From the script to writing it, to prepping, to filming it, to doing everything in post. It was just amazing because every step of the way, we can have our notes, we can have our suggestions as a team, and that's the one thing I feel like you get a little bit more in the indie world because you're so much more heavily involved in the project itself.
Hello, everybody. Joe Compton here from GoIndieNow. I hope you enjoyed that interview with the awesome Omid Zader and his great movie Overrun. As part of season 3 of Spotlight, I'm doing something a little different on this show, and that is we're going to include a little mini review at the end of every episode about the subject matter in which we're covering on Spotlight. Overrun is a smart, really well put together indie action film. It has elements of everything: humor, action, plot, great characters, well developed story. It is the full package, and it is unique in the sense that it combines all these things together and does it seamlessly. It is very well balanced in that respect, but also, you come to an action movie for one thing, and that's the action. And this action doesn't disappoint. There's a lot of cool, neat fights and neat stunts and just a lot of really, really well done aspects. I mean, having veteran actors presence like Nicholas Totoro and Bruce Dern and William Catt, all these guys add an element just to raise that level just that much more, and the bar is set very high. And Omid doesn't disappoint. For his first lead role in a feature film, he really shows that he has something that could really be potentially franchise worthy in Marcus and in these movies. So I look forward to, and I hope that there will be sequels down the road. And as far as this movie goes, I think it's fantastic. I think it's one of the best indie films I've seen this year. And I wouldn't be surprised to see me talk about it again at the end of the year. I also have a blog out there, and you can go check out a full comprehensive review. I break it down pretty much to the nth degree and talk about this movie further. And you can check that review out right now. It's there on our site. And remember that it's always time to go indie now. Thanks, everybody.
Success! Woo! Let's go!